Welcome back. The Central Board of Secondary Education has proposed conducting Class 10 board exams twice a year starting from 2026-2027. Unveiled today, the draft policy aims to ease student stress, offering two chances to excel with the best score counted. Aligned with the national education policy, the shift promises flexibility, but it has sparked debate over cost, logistics, potentially even more stress for students, or is that not the case? Joining us now, Vrinda Swaroop, former Secretary, Department of School Education in India. We're also joined by Dr. Vijay Datta of Modern School. Will be joined very soon by him. Praneet Mungali, Trustee of the Sanskriti Group of Schools. Dr. Sumit Grover is a psychologist, deals with children and adolescents. Diya Sharma and Soham Srivastava are Class 10 students, my favorite guests on this program. So rather than start with all the old people, let me come to you first, Diya, and ask you, if you were given the option of taking a second board exam in Class 10, right, would you be happy about it or would you not be happy about it?
Honestly, I feel that this is a very welcome move from the government, since it really takes care of the what-if scenario to a huge extent. With the current boards format, I have a million things to worry about. What if I fall ill? What if I don't reach the exam center on time? Or what if mere exam pressure gets to my head and I am not able to give my best performance in the one examination that is high pressure and has where all is at stake? However, with this scheme, I have this huge relief of knowing that even if I'm not able to give the best performance due to XYZ reason in the first examination, I will always have the second attempt, and not all is at stake in that one examination.
Okay.
However, as a student, I feel that we do need more clarity from the government side. For example, what if I want to be selective of the subjects that I want to attempt in the second board examination? Do I get that choice to attempt only those subjects that I want to improve my grades on? Or do I have to give all of those board examinations once more to get an overall satisfactory score?
Soham, what do you feel about this?
I personally feel it's a welcome change for all students. For example, if I'm not able to perform well in the initial examination, I'm able to improve my scores and rectify my mistakes in the second examination. It certainly reduces the stress and anxiety which we associate with a single overwhelming examination. It also distributes the workload over time.
Well, if we have kids as bright as that, I don't think they need two exams. But be that as it may, Praneet Mungali, let me come to you. There is that concern that the doubling of the number of board exams could heighten anxiety and pressure because students, one way or the other, end up facing two high-pressure situations. So does this actually potentially increase the stress for students as well?
I think because there's the element of choice and there's a clarification into the best of two attempts. Anytime there's greater choice, that will lead to lesser stress. And it's also important that the kind of culture which is built up around this is supportive, where students, parents, as well as the counselors use this as an opportunity to depressurize and counsel the students that you don't necessarily need to go all out for two examinations. If you feel confident enough in one, you can focus on other things. But overall, greater choice and greater flexibility, as the young students have mentioned, is likely to lead to overall less stress.
All right, Dr. Sumit Grover, let me come to you next. There is also the concern of curriculum overload. With two exams, there's a risk that the syllabus might either be split unevenly or require faster coverage, which leaves students with less time to grasp concepts. So again, is this something that might work for students or stress them out more?
This is something like a hate enemies thing, which the way I am perceiving. I think my major concerns out here is that maybe if we can support the students with some like kind of a mock exams or a trial basis, or maybe do some research and have some statistical analysis of what do people want and what do students want. I think including the students in this project is very important. Like anything which we have new. What is anxiety? Anxiety is fear of worst happening. Anxiety is because of newness. So what I would like to suggest, being a psychologist, that before we implement this program or this project, it's very essential to have each and every school academic counselor to well acquaint them with the policies, to well acquaint them how it's going to work, how it's going to be implemented step by step. That can help. But on the other hand, if we look at it, what she mentioned, I really liked that we make mistakes and then we learn from our mistakes, and then we are getting a second chance to put our learning from mistakes, which is of course not going to lead to anxiety, but more of confidence to do better. So it's both ways. I think we need to have a balance of increasing the confidence of students through this plan, and also to cope with their anxiety and the fear of newness. That's what I think is going to be. And as far as the curriculum is concerned, it depends upon the policy that how you are going to divide the syllabus, or are you going to take the complete syllabus, and how we're going to work over it. Once again, I think students' perspective should be taken. They should be included in this project. Sure. That can help it better. That can help really better.
Let me just go across to Vrinda Sarup,
implement.
former Secretary, Department of School Education. Ma'am, I think the real question is this going to be extended to class 12? Because class 10 is all very well, but the biggest exam is obviously class 12. It directly impacts the lives of students, their futures. So do you believe that this is a precursor to that taking place? Ms. Sarup, can you hear me? Sorry, we've lost a line. Let me put that across to Praneeth Mungali. Do you think that this is a first step towards this being introduced in class 12?
Well, I very much hope so, Vishnu, because if you see the draft policy of the CBSE, they have quoted paragraph 4.37 and 4.38 of the NEP, where the attempt is to clamp down on the coaching culture as well as alleviate mental stress. And as you pointed out, most of the stress for board examinations is coming with class 12 board examinations. So if the attempt really is to reduce the stress of students, then not only, I don't necessarily think taking 2 board examinations in class 12 will be as important a factor as is looking at what can be done to reduce stress. For example, the fact that the JEE examinations take place before the board examinations is a reason for a lot of stress for the students. And the coaching culture, which is, the high stakes pressure culture, which the NEP is trying to clamp down on. I'm not sure that only taking 2 board examinations in class 12 will alleviate that. It'll have to be more of a multi-pronged approach. But eventually, anything to reduce the stress of the class 12 examinations will be welcome. And if this is a precursor to that, which one very much hopes that it is, then it is a welcome step in the right direction. But a lot of work will have to be done additionally, but one has got to start from somewhere. So to that extent, this is a move which is welcome and appreciated.
All right, let me try and go back to Vrinda Sarup. Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank you.
So my next question to you is, one of the concerns is over fairness and evaluation if there are 2 exams. And this has to do with, if the exams differ in difficulty or format, then it would create inconsistency in the process. Is this something that we need to be a bit concerned about if we are to have 2 exams?
I don't think one needs to be concerned about that aspect, because it's a fairly standardized process on how they tackle the syllabus, the nature of questions, and the difficulty levels, as it were. So this is something new which is being done. It is done in many exams across the country and internationally, where you have different sets of question papers, you have different sets of exams, but there is a fairly technical and scientific process of measuring the difficulty levels. So 2 exams should not worry me or any students about the standards and the efficacy of the evaluation.
And I guess the benefit of this is that a student opting for the second set of exams, she or he doesn't need to take all of the exams. You essentially pick and choose the exams that you want, right? So you aren't preparing for an entire set of exams. It just gives you an opportunity of doing better, and if you don't do better, you can still walk away with the better of the two grades. Is that right?
Quite right. Quite right. That's it.
So that
And I
actually
think
brings me to my larger question, ma'am, and go ahead and answer that, but also add an answer to this. Do you believe this needs to be extended to class 12? It's already well now in class 10, and I think it's a great step, but what about class 12?
I think it's better to start as they are with class 10 and let it stabilize a little, because many of the apprehensions that you have raised and the other speakers have mentioned occasionally, it's better to let a system start, stabilize, and 10th is a much better prospect than taking it immediately to a school leaving level. And I think in terms of the student confidence, it will do a lot. And they will understand all these processes of how many exams to, how many subjects to tackle in the first round, how to do the second round, be it all, be it some select subjects. They come away from the exams feeling they've done badly in some, and then they may want to apply for the second round. Some places they may be surprised that they've done well, and then you find the result is not so good. So these are chances which they will learn to take with maturity, and it's better to start at class 10, let it stabilize, and then definitely shift it to class 12 once there's a degree of student confidence, a degree of school confidence, parental confidence that this works.
But my concern, ma'am, if this were to be introduced in class 12, is that we'd get even more students scoring a perfect 100%, and then where do they get admitted? Because presumably a lot of students who miss out and make mistakes, given another opportunity, can correct that. In our system, where getting into the best universities or best colleges is almost impossible, given the scorecard that you require, does this not mean that we might have many more perfect scores or close to those, which makes getting in unrealistic for a larger group of students?
I think the issue of perfect scores, Vishnu, is a different matter. And it often is a result of what they call moderation in trying to do a cross-country moderation of scores. But I think the more that CBSE is moving, at least I know CBSE is, moving more and more towards what they call critical thinking, reasoning-based, applicative questions. I think once this cycle is completed and the 100% papers are based on that form of testing, I think these perfect scores are going to go down, and you'll probably find much better standards of marking, which will enjoy better credibility also.
Praneet Mungali, last question to you. Do you believe that what Ms. Sarup says is the way forward, that if children are given an opportunity to take an exam again, then quite possibly the quality of the exams itself, or the difficulty of the exams, might be somewhat tougher? The evaluation process would therefore be a bit more equal. It would test a child more thoroughly. Is that likely? Tougher exams?
I think the first point that Sarup ma'am said is that these are early steps, and we have to see how the experiment plays out. And if there is an overall grade inflation where many people are scoring higher scores and that is putting upward pressure, then definitely that would change the format how the testing is done. And that is in fact one of the attempts of the draft policy as well, to look at core concepts and see how the students are grasping them properly, and to break the pattern of how the exams have been conducted in the past. So I would broadly agree with what ma'am has said.
All right, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us. It is an intriguing proposal, but I think it's a very welcome one for students who feel that their entire lives are being decided by one set of exams. There is an opportunity to get another chance, and if you don't want that chance, you don't have to take it. And you don't have to take the full set of exams. You can take just the papers that you want. There's a lot of freedom in this, and I would suspect that young kids would actually see this as a great opportunity. I do believe it needs to be introduced in class 12, where when push comes to shove, the opportunity for a retest really must exist. Thank you all very much for being with us.